everyone, it's Annalise. I hope you've all gotten off to a great start to your school year. I know many of you have been giving running records to students already, which is fantastic. We would love to hear how it's been going and what your questions are and what you think. We'll be having a Facebook Live session for the very first time next Tuesday night. Dr. Nikki and I are going to be together in Alabama, so we thought while we're together, we may as well do a Facebook Live for the first time. So if you have any questions for us at all, feel free to email me at aer@annaliserecord.com. Or you can post something to our running record page and we will get those questions together and we'll answer them for you while we're together. I also want to mention, I know a lot of you are joining the group, and so this is the first time coming into the group and seeing what our resources are. And please be sure that you go to the Math Running Record Facebook profile page, like the news feed, because there's been so much information already shared and videos and resources and files that I want you to be able to explore. But if you're only seeing it on your own news feed of the occasional posts and questions, you won't be seeing all the things that are within our community already. So if you go onto it with a laptop or a computer, you're able to, on the left-hand side of the screen, click on the word Math Running Records. I put it as a shortcut as one of my groups. So all I need to do now is on my regular Facebook news feed, I click on Math Running Records and I'm right into the group. And then I'm seeing the entire page of our group. And one of the options to the left is files. That's where a lot of you have been asking, you can't find where the files are, and that's where they are. So if you go to our actual Math Running Record page, and then click on the left-hand side where it says files, you'll see all the files that have been included. There also has been links to the Google Drive folder that we have for games and activities that we've shared so far. It's still a work in progress, and feel free if you have anything you ever want to add and contribute, as long as it's something that's for free and we're not charging any money for anyone, or copyright infringement or anything, or teacher pay teachers or something. I have been known to email some teacher pay teacher proprietors, I guess, and ask them if it's permission to use theirs, and they've been very gracious and allowed us to do that. So feel free to do that and explore those resources. But I did want to make a video today to talk to you about the data file, because I know many of you are now gathering this data. Now, how do we get it together into a file? And I want to be able to give you a refresher course. I included it in my Math Running Record webinar during the Build Math Minds virtual summit, but I wanted to have just this file available to all of you so you can see what we're doing. So I have on here just an example data file. It's an Excel spreadsheet essentially, but I put it into Google Drive, so it turns it into a Sheets, but it works very similar to Excel. And it was originally an Excel file, actually. You'll notice here, there are 4 different tabs we have for each operation. So we have one that is a very detailed version of what the students said and did during their interview. Then we have a summary page. So here, the summary page is one that is showing the the current strategy, the level, and the notes and the instructional focus. Then we have the growth page, so as it's going along during the year, in the fall, winter, and then the spring. You can watch the growth for each student. And finally, we have an analysis chart. So you're able to see, as a grade level or as a classroom, where the breakdown is of the different strategies. So I want to go over these in a little bit more detail here and show you some of the features in case you are the person doing this for your own classroom, or perhaps you're a math coach doing it for your school. So for starting here, this particular sheet with all the details actually is longer and wider than what you're seeing. So if I scroll to the right, you see there's more columns there, and I can't see them all on the screen. But once I've gone to the right, I don't know anymore what student that was. So there is a way for us to freeze some rows and columns. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go over here to View. When I click on that, the very first option is Freeze. So I choose Freeze, and I'd like to freeze just one row. That's going to give me the title of the strategies. And I also want to freeze so I'll go to View and Freeze, and I want to freeze one column. And so by doing that, those are now frozen. So now when I click over to the side and I go to the right, I'm seeing the columns to the right, but the top row has been frozen and the student is, so I can know exactly what student that was and look at the columns that I want. So that's the first thing that I wanted to do, is to freeze those 2 columns. Now, I've not figured out a way to program exactly the details that I put in here, because these are what the kids said and did during the interview. So I hand entered the A's for automatic and the 5 seconds. I also color coded this. What I did is I went to, if I click on that box, you can go to this button right here, which is the fill color. And I just chose to have it to be this particular color shade of red. But I physically did all those things for these first columns. And then, but you'll notice the top row here that there are some lines. And what that is the ability to sort and also filter, which is super powerful in the file. So for example, you'll notice that after all the details here, we have a column for what current strategy the student should be working on. Now, I can sort this file by that column. Then if I go up to the top row and click on those lines, I can choose sort it A to Z. So it's going to go in forward order for me. So if it's number order, it'll go from lowest to highest. If it's ABC order, if the column that I choose is alphabetical order, it would go from A to Z. I did have also the option to do it backwards order, so the highest value to the least, or from Z down to A. And so here are the current strategies. Now I have my small groups that I know which students need to be in what group and what strategy they need to be working on. So that sorting is super powerful. So again, I can just choose those lines. I can now sort it Z to A, and all the data across one line stays together. The computer knows to be able to do that. Let's say I want to put it in ABC order. These are not actual students' names, of course. It's just student with a number. So when I choose to sort it in A to Z order, it's going from student 01 down to student 24. We have the teacher's name there as well. And then we have the details entered as well as the strategy, the current level, and notes, and then the instructional focuses as well. So it's going to be up to you to sort it in any way that you want. Now, the first thing you want to do is I've uploaded a blank one of these files for you. Now, you want to save your own copy of it. So you'll want to go up to File, and then you're going to say, you can download it as an Excel file if you'd like to. So you could choose to do that. You could also just choose make a copy. So it'll keep it in your Google Drive folder and make a copy of it for you. And then that's going to be your file, which you can then change and edit and do anything that you want. I've not given anyone editable powers on that on that file because it's a collaboration platform, the Google Drive. If someone went into that and began entering data into that particular file, it would then populate it for all of us that are looking at that file. So you want to take my original copy and you want to make a copy of it for yourself, and then it becomes yours. You also can then share it. If you're not familiar with Google Documents, you're able to click on share, and you may choose people in your organization, the teachers, and if you're a math coach, the teachers and the principal. And so everyone's all on the same page, all the interventionists. And you can choose to allow them to give edit rights, or they could put comments on them, or they also can just view it. So it's up to you how you want to give those permissions. So on this page, I think that's all I wanted to share. So you have the sorting. Oh, I also want to be able to filter. Let's say that I only want to filter out and see just the kiddos that need, let's say, doubles. Any of these values down below that they have for that column, you're able to choose and select the only ones that you want to see. Now, it will not delete the data of everyone else, but it will keep all the data in there, but you're only going to be seeing it and being able to print just those particular ones. So let's say I wanted a listing of all the doubles kids. I might clear all of the values, and I'm just going to choose the doubles and doubles plus 1 and doubles plus 2. And then I say, okay. Now it looks like data went away, but it did not. It is all still there. It's just filtered out into what I chose for it to do. So I just wanted to see the ones that had those categories. But if you choose that button again, and I just say select all, now all of my data is back. So the sorting and the filtering is super powerful. Now, when I scroll over here to the right, you're going to notice this column here, this instructional focus, doesn't have those lines. I added this column after I had done the filtering code for all the other columns. Now, I want to be able to sort by that column as well. So if I want to do that, all I do is I highlight all the rows on the top, all the ones that I want to be able to filter by. And I'm going to go to edit. No, I'm going to go to data. And then on the data, I'm going to first turn off the filter. So now none of the columns have filters. And I'm going to do data, and I'm just going to say create a filter. And now every column has those filters in it. That's all that I did to create that filter. I chose the line of the data that I wanted to be able to have the choices of and to filter and sort by. And then I just chose data, and I chose filter, and it automatically does that. So if you ever want to add a column, you have more information that you wanted to add in, then you just tap on the column that you want, and you can say insert. And you can choose to insert a column to the right or column to the left. As long as it's within a span of ones that have the filter, it'll automatically do the filter for you. You wouldn't need to go and add that. So very powerful. The next page is the summary page. Now on the summary page, I just chose to have these certain columns. You can choose whatever columns that you want and what information is most important to you. You could add a column for notes, and you could give access for the interventionists and the teachers to come in and add information. If they're going between classrooms for things, they could be able to communicate that way. So that's powerful. Then we have the growth, so watching it over the course of the year. Now you'll notice here, there are lots of teachers' names. So just for this sheet, I added that extra element to talk to you about this. as a math coach in my school, I was able to have this one sheet, have all the grade level kids together in one file, but I didn't want to print out the data for every teacher's classrooms. I wanted to give each teacher just only their kids. So what you can do is you can put a column in. So I did the column for the teacher, and then because it's sortable, I can choose to sort it. I just choose that little lines above it and sort A to Z. Now I'm seeing all the kids now, but they're now organized by teacher, but I also can now filter it by that. So if I go down here, you'll see the only values in that column are Duquette, Jones, and Lozier. So if I just choose Jones, I can unclick Lozier and Duquette and say, okay, now I'm just seeing Jones's kids. I can now sort this the way that I want and print it out for her so that you can see her kids. So, and again, the other data is not gone. To get the data back, I'm just going to choose that symbol and I'm going to choose all the teachers that I want. I could do select all or just click on the ones that I want, say, okay, now everyone's back. And so that's a really nice feature as well. Now, the last sheet I wanted to go over with you was the analysis chart. I just created this chart where I put in the words of the flexibility strategies. I did this based on the Common Core expectations of fluency. We want within 5 in kindergarten, within 10 for first grade, and within 20 for second grade, and of course, any grade up higher than that. And all I did was I had to find out the count of how many kiddos were in each of those strategies. So here's what I did. I went to the file that has in here the strategies. And then I clicked on this to sort it because I wanted to sort it by that column. Now this is all the kids in the grade level. I can now scan up here and I can see that I'm going to choose, I highlight those that are all in the red, that are color coded for red. And in the bottom right hand corner, you can see it says the word count. And it's telling me there are 5 cells that have that value. So in that case, I could go back to my analysis chart and type in the number 5 for whatever that was appropriate for. And so I also was able to insert functions. It gave a percent to have this be a percent of dividing this by the total. So I created a formula. So for those of you that are a little more advanced with the data stuff, all I did was I inserted a function and I had it take whatever number was in cell 6, which is cell C6 at 35, and I wanted to divide it by the total. But I had the total as a function as well. I had it sum. I had to add up the values of these 3 columns so that this value, the 71, is reliant upon the numbers that I put and that I plugged into these 3 cells. And then once that's done, then the percentages can calculate because it already has the total and it knows for each of the percentages to take whatever is in that cell C8 and divide it by the total, and that will give us a percent. And I formatted that to be a percent. And then I just created a table from that. So I was able to highlight, all I did was highlight these 6 cells. And then I chose that I wanted to insert, and I wanted to insert a chart. And then I was able to choose what kind of chart I wanted. I chose the circle graph. I could add the table in. I can then make that chart be as large or as small as I want, and I can move it anywhere that I want on the page. So it's super helpful. So I've created the very basic structure for you in that blank file, but if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me, and I hope you can refer back to this video to help you out and explore a little bit. If you're curious, a really advanced part of the spreadsheet would be if you wanted to learn a little bit about how I entered the codes to be a drop-down menu. So these things here that you're able to choose the strategy from the list, because if you have everyone typing in certain codes like that, someone's going to put an extra space in and then it won't count it within the other data. So for any of the things that are consistent and you could just have a drop-down list for it, I like to create a list for that. And that was done within data validation. So you can use the help button within Excel within the sheets to look up data validation. And if you're interested in how I color-coded them, I was able to do that. It's called conditional formatting. So under format, you can go under conditional formatting and it will reveal to you what I did. So I was able to type in if the value here, I'll expand that one. I just typed in that if the value in that cell was equal to, and I typed in the exact code that I had on my table, then I could choose the color that I wanted it to be. So if you want to change the colors from red, yellow, and green to be other colors, you're welcome to. The formatting is already done. You would just need to come in here and just change the color. Let's say that I wanted it to be purple instead, and then I say done. Because that was for the very first one. Oh, and no one has an A0 as a code. So let's say A1. I'm going to change that color to be purple. And then I say done. I can see my A1s now changed to purple. I just changed the code that for anything that has that code 02-A1, I want it to be purple. And you're making the colors that you want. And that's all there is to it. So good luck as everyone gets started with running records. And I cannot wait to talk to you from Alabama with Dr. Nikki on Tuesday. See you then. Bye.